Good morning and happy post-storm. This is Inside the FLX from FingerLakes1.com. I'm Ted Baker, and I'm joined by Candace Riegel and Mo Tidball with Seneca County Cooperative Extension. We're going to talk farm to school, an exciting new grant, healthy eating, little kill it and grill it, and all kinds of fun stuff. Good morning.
Good morning, Ted.
Mo, I want to start with you. The status of the office. I know you went on remote work for a while. Are you going to extend that, did I see, possibly?
Yes, we are extending it at least through this week and possibly next.
Okay, so if somebody has the need to contact somebody, what do they do?
So they should call, which is 315-539-9251, and there's an automated system, and they can reach any of us that way, and we get our messages, and of course email is always a great way to reach us as well.
And then before we talk about the latest with Farm to School, this picture on Facebook here, what is this yummy recipe that I see? With the tender meat from your farm, and there's a bunch of herbs and stuff on top. Wow.
That actually is beef short ribs. That was a creation of Keith, and not a Wild Harvest table, but I suppose you could do it with venison.
Wow. Good-looking stuff. So let's talk Farm to School. It is potato month, so French fries are a real obvious one. But what else are you doing with potatoes in the schools this month?
French fries are an obvious one, maybe not the top choice. But, so our New York Harvest of the Month that we do every month throughout the year. So this month is potatoes. It's a really great crop to have as a winter New York Harvest of the Month just because not much is growing. There isn't much fresh stuff. So although it's harvested in the fall, it's a great crop to have throughout the winter because it stores about 2 to 3 months. So that's a great option to have as something local throughout the winter. New York harvested about like 390 million pounds in 2018. So it's really high up there on our farming product. A lot of Wayne County farms are big potato farms. So one of the ones that our Seneca County school districts get their local potatoes for this month is Williams Farm in Marion, so that's a big one. So it's great to have options to get your potatoes local. And when we focus on the New York potatoes, we also like to highlight the nutrition of potatoes and the recipes. And potatoes are a great source of vitamin C, B6, fiber, complex carbs, and potassium. Not many people know it when they always think of bananas when they think of potassium, but potatoes actually have more potassium than bananas and most other fruits and veggies. So it's a really great option to get like packed nutrition. It's also a really good option to be a prebiotic for gut health. So meaning like if it's cooked and cooled, it can be a resistant starch that feeds that good bacteria in your gut. So it's a really great option to have throughout the winter.
So let's talk about eating healthy with potatoes because the danger zone, you talked about French fries. We can lather on the salt and the ketchup.
Yeah.
We can load our baked potato up with butter and sour cream. So, for example, French fries, is there a better way than frying them in oil, an air fryer, or baking them? Or how do we make sure we have healthy fries?
Yeah, so there's a great like baked option that you can do your French fries. So cut them up from your whole potatoes the same way you would if you wanted to actually fry them, but just lightly cover them in olive oil, toss them in a bowl with some like herbs like paprika, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and then just put them on a sheet pan, maybe on parchment paper if you don't want them to stick, and then you can just bake them in the oven for like a half an hour, 45 minutes until you get them like nice and crispy brown like that you would like them.
Actually, and then that's how we have them at our house, so that's terrific,
And there's thousands of recipes and a long, long list of all the different things we make with potatoes, but from baking, roasting, sautéing, those are all better options. If you boil potatoes like we like to do a lot of those nutrients kind of get leached out of the potatoes, or if you fry them, all that water and moisture kind of gets taken out when you're doing that frying process. So if you can do some of the things like just baking, roasting, steaming, and if you really can leave the skins on some of the times, that's where most of that fiber and iron is. And we have a great recipe on our website that we do with our schools. That's a smashed potato recipe. We actually just did a big video on it and taught all of our food service directors. But it's on our website. You can try it out. So it's like almost like twice baked, but with the skins on. Kids can have fun. You can like smash them down on the pan, put a little cheese on top, kind of get them crispy in the oven. But it's a great recipe. We love it.
Now, how are you doing in terms of schools going remote? Waterloo just announced they're going to go remote. So when the kids get their grab and go, is some of the same food?
Yeah, so our cafeterias are still trying to do like their local options. I know it's really hard, so they're trying to do what they can. But yeah, we still try to get some like fresh options in there. When we did, right before we went remote in Waterloo after school, we actually got to do one of our after school lessons on potatoes really quick before they actually had to do this remote learning. And whenever we do like an after school lesson, which we just did the powerful potatoes from Egg in the Classroom, and they got to learn about the growth stages of the potatoes and look at the potatoes that were already sprouting and learn about how they can actually grow them from there. But then we also did like a treat of try the local little potatoes. So they got to try those there. But yeah, I mean, it's a hard process when everybody's going remote, but we like to hop on our Facebook page and put posts up, try to get them on our website. We have all of our videos, all of our recipes, so if they really are looking for any lessons or information, they can find it on there. But we also just try to like stay on top of it and connect it on our Facebook page with just new recipes that we like to do every week.
I don't know if you've talked about the history of the Farm to School program for this audience. We obviously did with my old audience, so take us back to the beginning and how you discovered that if you get the kids involved in the preparation, and the preparation is done in the right way, they'll eat stuff that nobody ever thought they'd eat.
Yeah, so I think right now we're like on the third grant round, I think. Yep. So we've had 2-year grants, and I think this is our third one. And we work with the schools to get more local produce from our local farms into the schools so they can try new things maybe they haven't tried, but also the education piece to try to teach them like where it comes from, that there are a lot of local farms. And then the nutrition, you have higher nutrition if you do get the local products. And then we try to do some of the new recipes so we can teach them how easy it is to cook all of these at home. Simple recipes that they can do by themselves, but also the gardening piece as well. We have school gardens, I think, at mostly all of our schools right now. South Seneca just put in a learning space near their garden, which is right next to the high school. Waterloo is going to be adding some more garden beds. We have 2 at Scoyers right now, and we're planning on probably going 4, maybe more, all of our school districts. I think with all of this remote, it's kind of moving toward we can do some more outdoor education, and it's a really good experience for them to not only be able to hands-on grow it, but then if they can harvest it and bring it into the school where maybe we can cook it in the classroom, or they can be part of the process of bringing it right into the cafeteria, which we've done already at several of the schools. If they have more of the hands-on and investment in it and more of the process of actually making that recipe and knowing that they picked that, then they're more likely to try it. So as much as we can get them more experience growing, picking, harvesting, cooking, then they have more time learning about it, looking at it, seeing that they had a part of it, an investment, and then they're more likely to try it again. The more often they have experiences, the more times they get to try it, then they're more likely to have one of the ways that they cooked it, an option that they like, and then they can share with their families at home as well.
And then you knew you had a big hit when kids started going home asking for that food they get at school.
Yeah, so we get that a lot, especially at our after school. Like if we test a new recipe or we're doing something a new way, either a parent will walk in and they're like shoveling in whatever we're trying that day, or they're taking home the recipe and then they'll come back and, well, I made it this way. We added a little bit of this. I asked my mom if we could make cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving when they've never tried a homemade kind like that. So that's one of the things that we love to see, that they're actually talking to their parents, trying this at home, and they're really energized to actually be a part of it in the kitchen themselves, or with our farm to school kits, grow their garden at home and then be creative in making their own recipes with it as well.
Well, I was going to say, you've gotten very creative. For example, every kid on earth loves mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
So you slip a little butternut squash in there, and they don't know. They just love it.
It's one of those tricks where if you hide it and they don't know, they can. It's a plus and a win-win for everybody if they're getting the better nutrition and a little bit of those veggies in that mac and cheese. And then maybe if you want to after, you can always tell them like, hey, there was butternut squash in that. You didn't know it, but you liked it. And that's one of those options too, where the more times they get to try it, even though it's mac and cheese and you're hiding something in there, maybe next time they'll ask for you to put it in there if they liked it enough. So it's just a way of giving them an option to kind of have some creativity, but you have creativity at home as well, of kind of maybe sneaking the vitamins and the vegetables and all that stuff in there, but then just having it be a more common thing that you're doing at home or in school as well.
And then, of course, presentations, everything. Mo, you've told the story before, but the apple sectionizers. You put an apple out on the plate, and the kids might not take it, but when you let them cut it up into pieces and be part of the process again, they love it.
Exactly. I mean, and they a lot of times kids, too, if they have wiggly teeth, and they need to cut those apples up. So it's a great way to have the kids be able to eat apples.
So what's ahead, Candace, for Farm to School for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so let's see. February is going to be cabbage month. I think March we're on to local grains maple syrup. So we definitely like to try to hit the products that kind of carry over throughout the months. cabbage may not be seasonally, but it's another one of those that harvested in fall. It stores really well, so it's another good one to have over the winter. But then we hit March, and we have maple syrup is coming in, so they get to learn about how you tap the trees, how you get the local maple syrup. And then if we have some local grains that can go in like a pancake kind of breakfast, something that they can also carry at home and do at home. And so they can make these pancakes, maple syrup at home. And maybe they haven't really realized that that maple syrup comes from the trees. So we did a book where we actually saw it, and they're like, what are they getting from the trees, you know? But so there's a lot of different things every month we're going to focus on in school, just food-wise. But spring is coming. We're going to be building more school gardens at Waterloo, South Seneca, Romulus. We want to kind of beef up the beds a little bit at all of our schools, maybe make some more beds, give them a learning space outside to do some outdoor education, but also produce something in their garden for the school throughout the year, throughout the summer. Maybe we can donate, or we just grow things that when we come back in the fall, they're ready for us to harvest and have that year as well.
You've gotten very good buy-in from the food service directors at the schools. Was it difficult at first to convince them, they're used to ordering from big wholesalers and saying, okay, can you order from the local farms and getting that network together?
It is. It's a little bit of a tougher process when you're just getting small orders, maybe for that week or only a couple times that month. It's harder. But if we can work it out where we have, sometimes I would go and help try to pick up from the farm and bring it there. But they've gotten really good at trying to keep some of our local options, or just some of their already, that they have their suppliers, get a local option through their supplier. So it makes it easier. Plus, if we're going to start growing from all of those garden beds, a few of the times we've actually harvested enough where we bring it straight into the cafeteria and they can put it right on the menu that week. So that's a really good, really fresh option that the kids get to be a part of as well.
All right, show your shirt to the camera there. Where do we get one of these awesome farm-to-school
T-shirts?
T-shirts?
So these are new this year that we did for all the food service staff on our training day, and for us to go in and just show the kids. These are our farm-to-school shirts. I think we have a couple extra if you want one.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And Christy Brewer in our office actually designed those.
Wow, yeah.
So she's very talented
We
to have on
actually
staff.
had them made, women-made products, I think,
Yep.
right here in Seneca Falls. So we'd like to try to keep it local. When we're doing farm to school. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on another great year, and thanks for what you do. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mo, the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant. This is going to tie in not only Cooperative Extension, but a whole bunch of different organizations all over the county. So where's this grant coming from, and what are you going to do with it?
This is very super exciting, and it fits in so nicely with Farm to School. And I just wanted to give a shout out to New York State Department of Ag and Markets, which is the funder for the Farm to School grant. And they've funded us for over 6 years now, and we just applied for the next round, so fingers crossed for that. And they help the program across the state. So there's a lot of momentum statewide with Farm to School as well. So it's really exciting that we've sort of been at the forefront of that. As you recall, we were one of the first grantees when there was only 6 in the state, and now they're up to 12 or 15. So just a shout out on that for Farm to School. So the Creating Healthy Schools and Healthy Communities grant is an amazing opportunity for Seneca County. It was awarded to our Department of Health, and it's $1.5 million for the next 5 years to do some real community health improvements, and it's from the New York State Department of Health is the funder for that. So actually it was pre-COVID when Vicki Swinehart and a whole group of people got together to write the grant proposal, and so we had all 4 school districts were involved, the Say2 Rural Health Network was involved, the Child and Family Resources for Early Child Care Development, and of course Cornell Cooperative Extension. So all those partners were written right into the grant, and I think everyone was a little bit shocked because it was delayed to get going because of COVID, and then suddenly we got, whoa, you got the grant. So it actually started back in June, but it's taken a while to sort of get all the players together and get things going, but we are going now, which is very exciting. We are still looking for a director for the program, so if anybody out there is health-oriented, very organized, knows Seneca County well, check out that job opportunity on, I guess it would be on the Seneca County website under Program Director. So that basically all 4 school districts have a liaison to the grant. So they have boots on the ground in the schools to look around and see what kind of improvements could be made to the nutrition environment. So things like Farm to School, having more gardens, having better signs or eating spaces. We've talked about smarter lunchrooms where maybe you would name the menu items that would be more appealing for children to get the slammin' salad or something like that rather than just salad in a bowl or something like that. So different ways to make the nutrition piece attractive to kids, and then also to make physical activity easier and more prevalent in the school. So it might be starting exercise clubs or opening up the schools for the community to come in and use the track or the walking trails and things like that. So the schools are an integral part of that. They're also going to be working with the county planning department to make sure that there's safe routes to school, so more kids are walking to school or riding their bikes to school, and they could do that safely, that the sidewalks aren't going to fling them off their bikes if they're riding too fast because there's cracks or bumps or things like that. So the county planning department's very much involved with this too, including working with the municipalities to do complete streets all throughout Seneca County, so making sure that there's bike trails, making sure that it's safe for everybody to walk in the community. It's really comprehensive. I can keep going, but
well, this is exciting because I've been saying over the years that we've really put kind of a burden on our schools because we expect so much out of them. A generation ago when I was in school, you didn't have school breakfast program. You had lunch. That was it. Mm-hmm. But instead of fighting that, this grant is recognizing it and saying, okay, if we're going to put this much on our schools, let's help them.
Right. And the nice part about this, because the four superintendents were at the table when the grant was being written, they said, we need a person that's going to help work on this, so that we created that liaison position, and we need direct funds. So each school district gets about $15,000 a year to actually make the changes that need to be made in the school district for a better environment for nutrition and physical activity.
And when it comes to nutrition in the school, we can talk about the school meals. When kids make their own choices, are they making healthier choices? I remember, again, way back when I was in high school, we had a snack bar that had salt and vinegar chips and sodas and Reese's cups, and that was our nutrition. So if kids get to choose whatever they want, are they making better nutritional choices these days?
I'm going to say that depends. So really what you need to have is an attractive salad bar. Kids love salad bars if they can go and choose what they want on it, and everything is fresh, everything is, maybe local, that they've learned about where these things come from. Maybe some of it came from the school garden. So the food has to taste good. I think a lot of the problem with, and the reason school lunches got a bad rap is they were mandated to meet certain nutrition guidelines, but not necessarily changed in a way to be tasty. So, if you go straight to a whole grain pizza crust, and if it tastes like cardboard, the kids are like, I don't like whole grains. Mm-hmm. So it has to be done in a way that's pleasing to the eye, presentation, you eat with your eyes first, and that is also tasty. And then they'll make those healthy choices.
Remind us, again, probably new to this audience, but your Wild Harvest Table blog, not only these fabulous recipes, but you've been doing nutrition research because nobody knew the answer to these questions. How much more nutritious is wild game than store-bought meat? And so you're answering those questions and then putting together these great recipes.
Yeah, that's I love the research that we've been able to do. So the Wild Harvest Table started, I guess, about 10 years ago, recognizing that a lot of people in Seneca County hunt and fish, and that's part of our rural tradition. Mm-hmm. But sometimes they didn't necessarily know how to cook it, or they'd say, I'm the only one who will eat it in my family. Everybody else says it's gamey, or they don't like it. It's tough. It tastes like shoe leather. So we wanted to create a website where all of the venison recipes are super tasty. They're relatively easy to do, step by step. And delicious. So we started out doing that with resources for things that were in season. So, there's squirrel recipes up there right now, and that's in season at the moment. We have goose, waterfowl, lots of different types of species that are there. But in doing that and in creating our nutrition fact labels, we recognized that there was a lot of species that didn't have nutrition information in the National Nutrient Database. being Cornell, we're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. we got to do something about that. So, of course, we found a grant. We wrote a grant, and we were able to collect some of those species. We did that for wild Canada goose and ruffed grouse and brook trout, which is our New York State fish. So those are now listed in the National Nutrient Database. There's more work to be done. Actually, we also did eastern wild turkey. And that was, we recognized what you would expect, but the actual facts weren't on paper. So wild game meat does have half the fat of domesticated meat in general. And like for the wild goose, it has tons of iron, which you would expect because they're migrating birds. So they're flying and using those muscles. So there's lots of iron in goose meat, which is also why it's very rich and very red and needs to be cooked properly.
So for cooks who haven't had experience with leaner game meat, just give us some general tips. Like you said, that overcoming that objection, it's too tough, it's too gamey. Not if you produce it the right way.
Correct. So you need to tenderize it. So for very lean meats, there's different ways to tenderize. You can use a tenderizer, which is actually pounding it or putting little holes in it, which breaks down the covalent bonds in the proteins. Also, using acidic things like wine and vinegars and marinades helps to break down the meat to be more tender. And then just the different cooking techniques to braise it low and slow, covered in the oven, will make something just melt and fall apart with enough time.
The website is wildharvesttable.com. All these great recipes, and they're always seasonal depending on what hunting season is or what vegetables are in season for the harvest. Wildharvesttable.com, all the great nutrition information and everything. Any particular programs or anything coming up that we haven't covered that you want to put in a plug for? It's kind of a slow time right now, I know, of course, in the office being closed.
It is. I would say with just spring coming up for Farm to School, I think we're in the process of ordering another round of seeds. I think we're going to do our Farm to School home garden kits again. So that usually starts getting pulled together around like mid-March, and then we try to get them out by like end of March, beginning of April, when they can starting their seeds and getting that all ready for their garden.
And we're so excited about potatoes, which is such an underrated vegetable. Love potatoes. So we're thinking about putting potatoes
and
in
kids
the kits
know
this
that
year.
there's just so many things you can do with them. So, I mean, you can definitely make that really good nutritious option and let kids get creative with it and make anything that they want to that'll be more likely for them to try. So
Look at these potato recipes and more. SenecaCountyCCE.org is the website. Facebook, Instagram, all the social media. It's good to see you again. Thanks. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
you for having
Thanks,
us.
Ted.
All right. Tidball and Candace Riegel with Seneca County Cooperative Extension. Paul Russo's been our producer this morning. I believe we're on schedule for the debrief tomorrow with Josh Durso and me at about 9:30 or so. And we've got lots of high school basketball this week in Finger Lakes 1. So thanks for watching.